Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm trying something a little different. Lately I've noticed that a lot of old trends from the early 2000s and 90s have been coming back. You know, I'm very into it. Like, I love the early 2000s. I was born in the 90s, so while I do remember the late 90s, and I guess I could consider myself a 90s child, the early 2000s is really where I was thriving. I loved High School Musical, Hannah Montana, Lizzie McGuire, Even Stevens, all those shows. All that aside, I decided today that I'm going to try and do an early 2000s makeup look. Before I begin, I should make it known that in no way am I a makeup professional. I didn't go to cosmetology school. I'm not a makeup artist. I'm none of that. But I do enjoy makeup. So I went to the drugstore, picked up a bunch of drugstore stuff because I feel like in the early 2000s and late 90s, that's what people used, was makeup from the drugstore. So anyway, I went to Rite Aid, I picked up a bunch of stuff, and I'm going to try and recreate these looks. Most of my inspiration, or I should say all of my inspiration, came from Pinterest and a bunch of old pictures of celebrities that I found, like Britney Spears, Lizzie McGuire, Christina Aguilera, you know, the big stars of the age. And yes, I know that Lizzie McGuire is not a celebrity, it's Hilary Duff, but Lizzie McGuire was an icon. So first things first, let's get this hair done. And there we have it. So I decided to go for this really simple double buns, space buns, whatever you want to call them, just for now, because it keeps my hair out of the way of my face while I try to do my makeup. And I feel like this is a very Lizzie McGuire, Christina Aguilera-esque look that I've got going on here. But again, I am not a hairdresser. I didn't go to cosmetology school. I was never a hairdresser. So this will do. Now that my hair is done, it is time for the makeup. And I need to be 110% transparent with you and let you know that this is my second time trying this, because the first time did not work out. And I did start off by priming my face with the hydrating face primer from e.l.f. I used e.l.f. for a lot of things for my skin because it is a brand that I know will not affect my skin, because like I said before, I have very sensitive skin, and I know this is a brand that I'm safe with when I use it on my skin. So next I'm going to use the Flawless Finish Foundation from e.l.f. in the shade Natural. It is a bit light for my skin after trying it out the first time. And like I said, I just ran to the drugstore real quick. There was no way of me really knowing what was going to match my skin, because I feel like the little pamphlets with the colors on them on the shelves aren't always accurate, and it's hard to tell. So this is what looked closest to me while I was there, and it ended up being a little bit light, but I mean, this is all in good fun, so it's fine. I will be applying it with this beauty blender. I am aware that they likely did not have beauty blenders back in the early 2000s, and to be honest with you, I usually use a Morphe brush to apply my makeup, but I feel like back then they used their hands, so I was not going to go down that route. So yeah, I'm going to use this beauty blender. So like I said, this color was way too light for my skin. You kind of can't really tell because I have weird lighting in here. I also gotta say that it's not sticking very well because my primer wasn't all the way dry, which is my fault. It isn't a full coverage, but for like $5 or $6, this is really great for in the summer or the hotter months where you just want something light on your face. This would probably work perfect. So next we're going to do the highlighter and concealer stick from e.l.f. Again, I really like e.l.f.'s products for my skin because I know they do not irritate my skin. So I'm going to do some concealing and highlighting. I don't really know if highlighting was a big thing back in the early 2000s, but in this case, it is. And then a really big thing in the early 2000s was blush. So I had the Wet n Wild Color Icon blush here in Pearlescent Pink. I was looking for something more of a neon pink, but they didn't have any of that available, which I guess people are going for a more subtle look nowadays, so they gotta cater to their audience. But in this case, this will do. So there's my blush. I didn't put as much on as I did the first time, but I feel like this color is just so pink that it does stand out a lot. But I mean, This is all good fun. Now next are the eyes. So of course I went for the frosty blue eyeshadow. Believe it or not, actually totally believe it, because no one really uses frosty blue eyeshadow anymore. This was very hard to find in the drugstore. This is the Revlon Color Stay Player Palette. I can't pronounce the name, but the number is 910. It has a ton of colors in here, but of course for this purpose we'll be using the frosty blue one, second to this side, the left. So we're gonna try that out. In addition, I found this Wet n Wild like sparkle eyeshadow for 99 cents, so I was like, why not? Let's try it. I feel like everything was sparkly and fun back in the early 2000s. So one thing that stood out when it comes to eyeshadow in the early 2000s is that it covered the entire lid. Not just nowadays where we just cover like right here. It covered like up to your eyebrow. Don't know why, but it did. Also, I'm doing the eyes after the skin, which I know is not a big thing whenever I've watched makeup tutorial videos. I know a lot of makeup artists do eyes and then face, but I'm not a makeup artist or a makeup professional, so this is the way that I do it on a daily basis. So this is just the way that I am doing it. If you have a good reason to tell me to do my eyes and then my face, please let me know in the comments, because I'd love to hear why people do that, or why professionals go for the eyes first then the face, because if there's a really good reason, like, I will switch it around. Doesn't make a difference to me. So the funny thing about this is the first time that I tried it, when you put it on the brush, it looks like, actually in that light it does, but it looks like on the brush that it doesn't pick up a lot, but when it goes on it's very blue. I do wish there was more of like a frosty shade to it, because that is what they used, was like a very like ice blue, and this is kind of like a blue, but it was all that they had, so I didn't really have much of a choice. Also, I'm not putting a lot on because of it being so blue, so I'm just putting like a very little bit on. So there's my blue eyeshadow. Like I said, it's a little too blue than I would have wanted it, but there wasn't much of a choice because it's 2019 and people don't necessarily do that anymore. So here we are, we make do with what we've got. I'm gonna add some sparkles to it. Now, I discovered the first time that I tried this out earlier was that it isn't like a shadow, it's more of like a gel, which, I mean, the sparkles ended up going on really well. So I was very surprised with that, especially for 99 cents, wasn't bad. Wet n Wild is not a brand that I've used in Lord knows how long. The first and last time I probably used it was back in like grade school when me and my best friend started buying makeup and just, you know, playing dress up, but this is pretty neat. Also, I should point out that I'm not doing my eyebrows because back in the early 2000s, I feel like eyebrows, like the way that people did them was get rid of them completely and literally draw a line. I don't mean that seriously, but literally they were just so thin that it's not worth me doing, because I'm not going to trim my eyebrows that thin and walk around like that until they grow back out, because that would be a pain. Also, I'm not going to completely cover them in foundation and then draw them on, because I'm not that dedicated, I'm sorry. So next we're going to do the eyeliner. The eyeliner that everybody used back then was pencil. I have not used a pencil eyeliner and I couldn't tell you how long, probably since high school. Nowadays I use liquid eyeliner, which I love. It's very clean, it's very crisp, stays on all day, but for these purposes we're using pencil eyeliner. Also, they never did cat eyes back in the early 2000s. It was always like very heavy around the eyeball eyeliner, which I was guilty of back then. And it never looked good on me, and to be quite honest, it probably won't look good now. So cross your fingers and wish me luck as I try to put this on my waterline. And that's 100% expected. I look horrifying. And no eye makeup is complete without mascara, and what better mascara to use than this pink and green tube that was all over the place in the early 2000s, and quite frankly now too. So this is the Great Lash by Maybelline. This is probably the first mascara that I ever bought. I didn't use it very long, but it's got a special place in my heart. What I find so funny about this mascara is that it makes my lashes feel like nothing happened to them at all, but back when I used it, I thought it was everything. I guess I'm just used to the mascara that I use now, which isn't a drugstore brand, but that's totally fine. People still use this mascara and think it's great, and for the price, it is in fact great. But there's that. And last but not least, we need to make sure my lip gloss be popping. So matte lipstick wasn't a big thing back then, if it was a thing at all. Instead, they used lip gloss. Shiny, sticky, very sticky, have your hair stuck to your face all day, sticky lip gloss. So this is what I got. I got the Wet n Wild Mega Slicks lip gloss in, I don't know what color this is. Bright pinks like this were the shade back then. Either bright pinks or nude lip glosses were, I would say, the norm. We're gonna use this as the finishing touch. Now, I must forewarn you that I tried this earlier and it is bright. Like maybe not 90s bright, like maybe 80s bright. So here's that. It doesn't take a lot to get this bright look. All I did was pull the stick out of the tube and put a little bit on, and it covered my entire lips. I feel like this metallic color is like, I don't know. I feel like I either look like Mimi from the Drew Carey show or like ready to be in a Spice Girls video. But there's that. Also, I feel like maybe it's just me and maybe I'm out of my mind and I will probably be made fun of endlessly for saying this, but is it just me, or does like lip gloss like have the smell and like taste of Play-Doh? Like, what is in this? I would love to know. So there you have it. My early 2000s Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears, Lizzie McGuire inspired look. I think overall my eyeshadow turned out darker than I wanted it to, and the eyeliner was a bit smudgier than I wanted it. I didn't put a lot on because when I put a lot of eyeliner on, my eyes just look like I got punched in both eyes. But overall, like I said, I am no makeup artist, I'm no makeup professional. I did this all out of good fun, and I'm just loving that all these early 2000s, 90s trends are coming back. So I am here for it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to walk out of this room and scare my husband and dog with this face of mine, and probably go put on some Spice Girls and dance around my living room. Until next time, bye-bye.